Hey everyone, it's the one and only magnificent bird, Beak, speaking to you today. And in today's video, I'm back at it with another spoiler review. And this is going to be the Walking Dead City Season 2, Episode 3 spoiler review. And I know what you're probably thinking. You've clicked on the video and you see the bottom part that says hearts are walker healthy. Now, I know that seems random, absolutely random, but it'll make sense once I get into the spoiler review of exactly what that means. But yeah, apparently a walker just has a heart a day, and it's good and nutritious, and they can just keep on moving with no back pains, no arthritis, nothing. But we'll get into exactly what the hell that means, right? So, if you don't want to know anything, if you don't want to, if you're not caught up, if you don't want to know anything, it'll be a minute. But before we get started, I hope all of you are doing good and staying safe out there. And if you like the video, like always, leave a like, leave a comment down below. Let me know what did you think of this episode. And if you aren't subscribed already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Turn on all notifications so you know the second I upload to YouTube. And if you want to share the video, that would be great too. If you do any of those things, that would be very much appreciated. Now, like I said, if you haven't seen the episode and if you're not caught up and you don't want to know anything, this is the time to go ahead and click off the video, watch the episode, and come back if you would like to. Or if you are caught up and or if you just don't care about spoilers, you can go ahead and stay. And if you are clicking off the video, I do thank each and every one of you for your support, and I'll catch you next time. So, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Here is the Walking Dead City Season 2, Episode 3, Why Did the Mainlanders Cross the River? Spoiler review. So, this episode, we definitely get some answers as to why Herschel seems so connected to Manhattan. We find out more about that. So we are going to find out Herschel's connection to the Dhamma. The episode opens with a flashback to the time when Herschel was imprisoned in Manhattan by the Croat. He was being kept as leverage to bring Maggie and Negan to the city, obviously, knowing that she would bring Negan with her so that a trade could be initiated. But as we all know by now, the Croat isn't the mastermind behind all of this. And also, it's time to see, we're about to see how the Dhamma fitted into the early days of this plan. Herschel, imprised and alone in a dark room, hears footsteps. The Dhamma enters looking rather intimidating in her long, dark robe. We're supposed to fear her after what she did in the previous episode when she stabbed Vincent with the pin and cut his throat with Benjamin's pin. And, okay, but she drops the stone cold face pretty quickly. and apologizes for the way he has been treated, she she unties him and offers him something to eat, like peanut brittle. I forget what she called it, but she pretty much called it peanut brittle, but new. Apparently, it's made with walnuts, which apparent she likes better than it's made the traditional way. By the way, he doesn't know what to make of her, but she tells him she's going to get him a proper bed and a blanket. And as she gets ready to leave, he asks for a coat, and she says, "Why, yes, it is quite chilly in here." And she just takes her coat off and just wraps it around Herschel. Then he asks for some paper and something to draw with. When she leaves, he eats the food she left behind, and with that, an unusual bond is formed. Yeah, it's kind of fucking weird, but we're gonna we're gonna get more into it. And by the way, back in episode 2, that fire that was set with the tires, I think it might be safe to assume that it was Herschel that did that. I mean, it kind of makes a little bit of sense as we're going to get more into it. I'm kind of putting that idea in y'all's head, right? Anyway, throughout the episode, we get more flashbacks to Herschel and Dama's time together as the Dama talks to him about his mother. Herschel opens up about Maggie's obsession with Negan, at which point his captor tells him that he doesn't need to pretend with her. She sees him. She then smiles and exits his room, leaving the door cracked. Instead of shutting and locking the door, she just barely leaves the door open a crack. Maybe she's at this point, the Dama is starting to slowly infect Herschel with her indoctrination, her way of thinking. That's why, and I believe she is seeing that slowly but surely. A little bit later in the episode, Herschel decides to leave through the door, but he is attacked by 2 walkers. As one falls onto him, the Dama takes out one of them. Then she tosses him the knife to kill the one that is trying to bite him. He stabs it in the face. Together, they make their way down a corridor in the theater as the Dama promises to show him something, his new room, because at first they go to this room and Herschel asks, "Is this your room?" And Dama says, "No, this is your new room." So it's beautiful. It's full of lit candles, aesthetic wallpaper, and both paintings and sculptures from years gone by. The Dama talks about the importance of the past and how it's always with them, but asks the question, what if there was the potential for renovation? With that, she presses a button and Herschel's room is now an elevator. So they just got this big ass elevator and just like put a bed and dresser and all that stuff in this elevator. So she presses a button and it's an elevator, lifting both of them high above the theater so that he can look out at the depleted, skeptical remains of the city. She knows that he sees what she sees, a broken city that can be rebuilt, reborn. She offers him the material resources and power to look out at the city and see what could be, not what was, not what is or was. This is what he ultimately draws, the drawing that he carries with him in the present day of the episode in the timeline, right? So we're gonna skip a little bit. We're gonna go to Maggie Armstrong, and then Major. I like to call her Major Asshat, the one that threatened to shoot Herschel in the last episode. So back in the present, Maggie and Armstrong attempt to lead the survivors to safety, but having barely survived the attempt to get on the island in the first place, the New Babylon Federation's resources are limited and they have no way of getting home, so Maggie attempts to lead them through the park in the hopes that it will keep them off the Croats' radar until they can figure out a plan. As they do so, however, a walker attacks and kills one of the New Babylon red shirt cannon fodder characters. I mean, they had to have some nameless characters, there for a reason. So, we'll get more cannon fodder casualties a little bit later on. So that's just the first. And okay, so the walker attacks and kills one of the cannon fodder characters, and then Herschel notices that a walker is missing a heart. That's going to become relevant later on throughout the episode, okay? It's weird as hell. It's weird as fuck. But it'll make a little bit more sense as to why hearts are walker healthy, okay? Okay, so Maggie, pretty much at this point, she's like, fuck this plan. Why don't we just go home? To hell with the methane, right? But Armstrong is like, no, we need to do this. And then Major Asshat, she butts her way into it. I wish somebody would put one between her damn eyes. Major Asshat. I know they probably said her name, but I could care less to remember it. But anyway, to make matters worse, they have to venture into this tall grass, and things suddenly start getting very the Lost World Jurassic Park as the walkers begin to pick them off. Mostly the cannon fodder red shirt characters. Because most of them they're walking through the tall grass, and then you see one by one, the no-name cannon fodder characters just whoop, just get pulled down. It's just normal walkers pulling them down, but they gotta have some people die, right? Because, realistically, Maggie, Herschel, Jenny, Armstrong, and Major Asshat are gonna be the ones out of New Babylon that are going to definitely survive after every one of the cannon fodder characters are dead. I wish Major Asshat could join the cannon fodder characters, but they're going to make her kind of important, blah, 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 whatever. Okay. So, the walkers begin to pick off the fake cannon fodder characters. Maggie gets separated from the rest of the pack, and so does Herschel. They each do what they can to survive on their own, and eventually Maggie reunites with the group, but Herschel doesn't. Unfortunately, with the walkers coming toward them, Maggie and the rest of the survivors have no choice but to retreat into a nearby building. And I forgot to mention this. When Herschel sees that walker with a missing heart, there's this young-looking girl that is sitting there watching him off to the distance. That'll be important too. And when Herschel gets separated, Jenny drops her bag, And Herschel does end up finding that gun that she has in her bag, but he doesn't really. Okay, so they have to retreat. Maggie and them, Maggie, Jenny, Armstrong, Asshat, and there's a couple of red shirts left, but not too many. They have to retreat into this building with these people just like looking at them, and they don't like say nothing. They're a group of new people that happen to live in Manhattan, so they have to retreat into a nearby building, the cafe on the lake. It houses a different group of survivors who tell them to come in and they will lead the walkers away. Maggie, I don't know where Mackie came from. Maggie is reluctant without Herschel, but they tell her they will find him because they said that they're searching for the boy after they get into the building. Speaking of Herschel, he wanders through the tall grass until he finds a nearby fountain. It's peaceful there, away from the grass and a clear view of all its surroundings, ensuring that there won't be any surprise arrivals from either side without Herschel knowing. He takes out a sheet of paper and begins drawing his location in a bid to figure out where he is, but the wind lifts the paper a few feet away. Then another survivor from the group Maggie met picks it up and looks at it, and there was a couple of walkers surrounding Herschel, and the same survivor who was the girl that was watching Herschel does save him. She just kind of grabs him by his hood of his jacket and kind of pulls him away so he doesn't get bit. So the girl ends up finding Herschel again, and then she looks at the drawing that Herschel is starting to draw on, and she's intrigued by his drawing. Now we're going to skip over to the Croat and Negan and this other guy named Waylon, who is a part of the Saviors 2.0, Dama's group, right? So the Croat, he's got this little small table and chair, and he's eating some kind of bread, and he's got some kind of spread cream or something on this bread, and they're out in the middle of the street, he's stuffing his face, and Negan has to sit there and watch him do that. Anyway, we're going to catch up with the Croat and Negan are out looking for survivors from the New Babylon boat. The Croat attempts to sell Negan on the fact that the Dama is a good person who saved his life, but he isn't buying it. Then he tells him that although the Dama may not understand his code about harming children, and the Croat even says that, I respect that you draw the line at children, but if we find the child that you were saving, we won't make you do it. We will do it so you don't have to go through the pain of doing it yourself, right? So, yeah. And that guy Waylon is like, you know what? I'll fucking do it. And Negan, obviously, he's not loving what he's hearing, and especially that Waylon said that, like, ooh, that's gonna come back into play later. Yeah, the Croat's right-hand man, Waylon, has been sent into the park to track down any remaining survivors. Negan, however, knows that Herschel might be in there, so he offers to go with him. The Croat is impressed at his determination to prove himself and allows for it. And so the pair head in, unknowing of what or who they will find. And that's when Negan says to Waylon, why did the mainlanders cross the river? Because when he says that, they get to this like little area, it's full of vines and all of that, and he asks Waylon that, and he's like, why did they? And he says they didn't, and Waylon, he gets a chuckle out of that. And Negan says for Waylon, like, if you want to go ahead, you go. And Waylon says, nah, you go first. And Negan, he doesn't say anything. He goes along with it, and he goes in there first. And then as they're going through the vine area with all the vines, there are walkers that are trapped in there, and a couple of them almost get Negan, but then Waylon gets in there. Waylon gets into a spot of bother pretty early when he heads into a walker-filled tunnel with the vines following Negan. And the walkers are grabbing for Waylon, and they have him, and Waylon reaches out to Negan for help, but Negan's like, fuck you, buddy, goodbye. He doesn't actually say that, but he's just got this look on his face like, I don't know what you want me to fucking do about it. And Waylon is like, you traitorous motherfucker, I'm going to get you. And then that's when one of the walkers takes a bite out of Waylon, and that allows, while Waylon is being devoured by the walkers, that allows Negan to see if he can track down Herschel on his own. So the fact that Waylon said that, look, you know what? I'll kill the kid myself. I don't give a fuck. See, that didn't do him any favors, because Negan heard that, and he didn't say nothing, but he's like, you know what? If you're willing to say, like, you know what, I'm willing to hurt kids, and you're a fucking piece of shit. He's like, I know I'm a piece of shit. I've done terrible things, but like, women and children are where I absolutely draw the line. Although Negan has killed 2 women total, one of them was by accident, one of them was to redeem himself. So, like, his body count of women is very little. So, there are far worse people in The Walking Dead than Negan. You just gotta remember that. So, okay, so after that, we go back to Herschel. Herschel introduces himself to the young woman who saved him. Her name is Joanna, and she likes the drawing. They are interrupted by Waylon, who was able to escape, because next thing you know, the girl that saved Herschel ends up stabbing her in the thigh area, leg area, right? And yeah, Waylon, he's got all the blood on him. He's been bit by a walker, all that stuff. And yeah, they're interrupted by Waylon, who is still alive, but bleeding and seemingly in transition to a walker, because he was bitten, but he's still alive for now. And he's got that throwing knife, and no, he's got that gun, actually, the gun that he found earlier. He's pointing it at Waylon, and like Waylon says, if you knew how to use that thing, you would have already used it. So, yeah, okay, so he takes down the girl with his spear and stabs her in the leg, thigh area. Herschel pulls out Jenny's gun on him, but Waylon knows that he's never fired it before, and he's walking toward. Just by the way Herschel's reacting, he kind of is guessing that, yeah, he ain't never fired it before, So he walks forward, only to be stabbed to death by a spear from behind. Obviously, Negan is the one that he was hoping the walkers was going to finish him off, but he made damn well sure that he killed Waylon, because he didn't want Waylon to go back and report that Negan tried to kill me, you know what I mean? So yeah, Negan saves Herschel once again. Herschel pulls the gun on Negan, and fires it off to his left, completely missing Negan. Because, like, before he pulls the trigger, Herschel looks like a combination of angry, but he looks sad. He's conflicted, and he fires, he fires the gun, but he misses Negan completely. And then he steadies the gun again, but upon seeing the girl injured, he turns back to see that Negan just disappeared into the forest. So we get another Negan and Herschel interaction. Interesting. Maggie then decides it's time to go and find Herschel, although the people in the cafe have been nice to them, especially their leader Rokashan. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but anyway, we're probably never going to see these people again, so it's not that much of a... Anyway, the leader of these people, she isn't going to let that stop her from finding her son. When he begins taking out the dead, however, she sees that they're also missing their hearts, right? Because right, not no, Maggie. Okay, yeah, Maggie takes out another walker and sees that there's another walker with a heart missing, just like Herschel did earlier, right? And before she can go further, she runs into Herschel, who also has the injured girl with her. Luciana, I don't... I'm just gonna call her Major Asshat. That's her new name. Major Asshat sees an opportunity for the new Babylon Federation with Rokusan's people. Although they have survived this long, imagine what they could do under the protection of the Federation with food, medical supplies, resources. They could also provide them with an army to take the methane from the Croat. Armstrong isn't buying it, but she's committed to the idea. When Herschel and Maggie return, they help place Jonah on a table. Did I say her name was Joanna? I think it's Jonah. They place Jonah on a table where Rokashan tries to help, but it appears that her injuries are too much. Armstrong offers a first aid kit, but Rokashan refuses, gently telling him that they have managed just fine on their own. With that, Armstrong calls off whatever coup that Major Asshat was playing, telling her to stand down, rightfully so. Woo! You know what would be sweet to see? Armstrong pull out his gun and boom! Put one right between her eyes. I think we would all love to see that, but I don't know. Maybe that'll still happen. Maybe she'll end up getting hers. We still got 5 episodes left to go, so we'll see. Meanwhile, Maggie asks Herschel on what happened out there as soon as she hears about Negan's involvement, because she not Maggie, but Herschel rather, says that one of Croat's men stabbed the girl in the leg, and that Negan saved them. And she says, Negan, like, in surprise, right? And she begins to interrogate him, which Herschel doesn't like. He snaps at her, telling her that she doesn't give a shit about Negan, that not Maggie, but Herschel is telling Maggie that he doesn't give a shit about Negan, because apparently Maggie is the one allowed to do that. Then he storms off into like another room, leaving Maggie to think about what happened and watch as the group of survivors that they met begin preparations for Jonah's send-off. So this is where it starts getting a little fucking weird, okay? So apparently, Rokashan's people are the ones that, whenever their people die, before they become a walker, they cut their hearts out. Yeah, but that I wish I would say I don't know what's weirder, them the Rokashan's people moaning or cutting their people's hearts out when they die. I don't know what part's weirder because I could imagine, okay? I could imagine what if someone just happened to be walking in the vicinity and they hear all that moaning, what are they going to think is going on? Some kind of orgy? I don't know. Like it's like weird as shit. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know what part's weirder and then the moaning just gets louder and louder. It's some kind of fucking chant that they've obviously done it before. And then Jonah's as she gets ready to pass on, Herschel takes part in the ceremony gifting Jonah his drawing she lays dying into her hand. Then he places his head against hers and leaves, watching with the rest of the mourners. The group begins singing, well, moaning. They begin moaning as Rokusan lifts a pointed rock and stabs Jonah in the chest, eventually removing her heart. That heart is then left outside the cafe for the walkers to feast on. Yes, hearts are walker healthy. All they have to do is just eat a heart a day. That'll keep the doctor away. They won't have no health problems. They won't have no arthritis, back pain, nothing. They just gotta eat one heart a day. This part is fucking weird. Oh my god. Some weird shit we got going on. So, and then also Jonah is placed out there, rising from the dead as a walker and joining her fallen friends in the park. Now, obviously, we know where the heartless walkers came from. Why? My guess is why they cut their hearts out of those that have died before they turn into walkers. Perhaps they believe that if their hearts are not in their bodies when they turn into a walker, that their innocence, their human selves are not trapped inside the walker. That's kind of the vibe that I was getting from that, but I don't know. That's just an idea that I was thinking, right? Now, we're gonna scooch on over to Negan and see what he's doing. Negan returns to the Croat, informing him that Waylon had an accident at the hands of walkers. Then he tells him that there were no survivors in that park. Shockingly, the Croat believes him, and together the two drive off back to the theater. Hang on, let me take a sip of this drink and I'll continue my thought. Okay. I'm honestly surprised that the Croat believed Negan. I am shocked about that. So, he just believes him and says that accidents happen. And we don't really see Negan no more for the rest of the episode. So, I'm sure we've been wondering what's been going on through Herschel's mind since this season of Dead City started. This episode provided us with a lot of with some answers. That's clear when Maggie sits with her son and again asks him whether the city has some kind of hold on him. He tells her that he doesn't see the same city that everyone else does. He doesn't see the horrors. He sees a city ignored, abandoned, an island no one came to save, but it can now reinvent itself free from pain. And with that, the closing moments of the episode are all about, as Herschel, now once again we get another flashback with Herschel and the Dama. Herschel draws the view from his room of that one picture that we see of the two buildings pretty across from one another, right? And the Dama tells him that the need to protect this world that they create, prevent it from harm, and that not everyone will see things their way. That's why he's going to have to make some tough decisions when he gets home. What the fuck does that mean? Is your indoctrination working through Herschel? It seems fucking like it. Creepy ass bitch. Oh god, okay. And he's gonna have to make some tough decisions, some tough choices when he gets home. She hands him a fresh pencil, and he slowly, thoughtfully accepts it, and a slight, subtle smile as he does so. So they're both looking at each other, the Dama smiling, and Herschel gives off a small, subtle smile back at her. I'm like, them two looking at each other like that, I'm like, ooh, I don't fucking like this one fucking bit. Not at all. So it's pretty obvious that Herschel isn't returning to New York to take down the Dama like I maybe thought. He's seemingly planning on reuniting with her. Her plan for the city aligns with his, as the two have a vision to rebuild it. The only problem with that is that Maggie certainly plans to take him back home after their mission is complete. So, with that in mind, Herschel is going to find himself at a crossroads at some point throughout the season. He's going to be torn between two worlds, two choices. Does he side with his mother or with the Dama and their plan to save the dead city? And what kind of role will Negan play in all of this? The stakes in Dead City have gotten a lot higher, and it's going to be very interesting to watch Herschel as he is forced to choose between good and evil at some point in some time. It's going to be even more interesting to watch to see which choice he makes. And that's pretty much the end of the episode. I will definitely say the most interesting parts of this episode is watching the Herschel and Dama flashbacks to see what he's really thinking. And this episode gives a more clearer picture of like, okay, he actually is agreeing with the Dama, because like the Dama is kind of a mother figure for him. It's creepy as fuck. Don't get me wrong, it absolutely is. But he sees the Dama kind of like a mother figure, even though he's got a mother. But, yeah. And then the whole part with oh, goodness sakes, I didn't forget the woman's name already. Rokusan's, people. With the moaning, and then we find out where the missing hearts are coming from. Like that, I don't know what was weirder, the moaning or her cutting out that girl's heart and leaving it out for the walkers so they can be heart healthy. Oh god. I would say up to this point, if I had to pick between Dead City Season 2 and Daryl Dixon Season 2. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning toward Dead City Season 2 a little bit. Not like miles ahead, but like just just by a barely bit, just a little bit ahead of Daryl Dixon. We'll see. This was a pretty good episode. Not, I think I liked episode 2 the best so far. The next episode might be a little bit more interesting. We'll see. I kind of caught a little bit of the previews, and episode 4 might be a little bit more interesting. We'll see. We will definitely see, but the best parts of the episode is watching the Herschel and Dama flashbacks. I definitely thought they were the most interesting parts of the episode because we get a little bit more into Herschel's mindset, his process of what he's thinking about, what he's really thinking. Because we needed some answers on that, and we did get some answers on that. So maybe this 8-episode format is really going to help this season. Let's hope. Let's hope it does, and hopefully it doesn't feel over outdrawn, or it doesn't feel rushed. I know Daryl Dixon season 3 is coming on in the fall. I don't know whether if they're going to stick with the 6-episode format for that or not. We'll see. I'm not going to say whether if they need to go to 8 episodes or 6 just yet. But Dead City Season 2 is off to the right start. Absolutely. So far, I much prefer Season 2 over Season 1 of Dead City. Absolutely. Without a doubt, it's not up for debate. So, that's pretty much all I got for you guys for this one. I want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support and for stopping by. And also, I just wanted to say this spoiler review might be a little late. I'm sure I'm going to get it out by Monday, but I'm not sure when on Monday, so just keep that in mind. So it's, the episode ain't been out that long. Anyway, if you're new, welcome on in for the very first time. I'm glad to have your support and thank you for your time. And I am Beak, and I'm going to go fly away back to my nest. Until next time, bye guys.